Hi, Dalton. This article appeared in the Toronto Star on November 16th, 2016. The title is, Dear Parents, Teachers Are Regular People Who Sometimes Wear Swimsuits. Titel. That's the author. The advent of social media seems to have revived our impulse towards puritanism that demanded nothing but spotless virtue from our educators. An Ottawa school board reportedly warned its teachers that they should refrain from appearing on social media in scantily clad photos on the beach. By Emma Titel, national columnist, November 30th, 2016. If you like to have fun, you're lucky you weren't a teacher in the 19th century. According to a PBS series on the history of education, teachers in the 1800s weren't just expected to demonstrate good behavior for their students in the classroom, a given in any school in any day. They were expected to uphold a squeaky clean image at all times in and out of the classroom, unless, of course, they wanted to find themselves out of a job. Dalton, this is the main idea, and I'd like you to take a minute to reread that introduction or re-listen to it and hear what it has to say. What exactly is the point that this is making? In the words of American education reformer Horace Mann, writing in 1840, the school committee are sentinels stationed at every door of every school house in the state to see that no teacher crosses its threshold who is not clothed from the crown of his head to the sole of his foot in garments of virtue. Excuse me. If you think those standards are exacting, consider this. According to a hotly contested document believed to be an American teacher's contract from the early 20th century, some historians claim it's a phony, others swear it's the real thing, but either way it's very entertaining. Female teachers in the early 1900s were strictly forbidden from getting married, drinking beer, and the saddest prohibition of all, they weren't allowed to loiter in the downtown ice cream stores. How, you might be wondering, could anyone have been so silly and so anal? Who the hell cares if teachers drink beer or eat ice cream in public? And who cares if they are sufficiently clothed in garments of virtue? The answer is, we care a lot. The advent of social media seems to have revived our impulse towards puritanism that demanded nothing but spotless virtue from our educators. Ironically, a wholly modern invention has inspired us to adopt social mores from more than 100 years ago. I'd like you to take a second, Dalton, to recall what were the rules that were outlined from the early 20th century. Rules for teachers, what were they? If you think I'm exaggerating, then how else do you explain the uptick in recent years of teachers being fired from their posts or seriously reprimanded for appearing on social media drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, or posing in bikinis? In 2013, a Florida English teacher said she was fired from her job when her school's administration, those are the principals, discovered that she was once a swimsuit model. In 2011, a teacher in Georgia, a person who claims to have had the highest possible privacy settings on Facebook, was allegedly fired after a parent discovered a photo of her on social media in which she is seen drinking a glass of wine and a pint of beer at the same time. This week, the Ottawa Citizen reported that an Ottawa Public School Board recently warned its teachers that they should refrain from appearing on social media in scantily clad photos on the beach. No teacher has yet to be fired in 2016 for loitering outside an ice cream parlor, but tomorrow is another day. Perhaps it's time we reminded ourselves that we are not living in the 1800s. Teachers aren't nuns. They are otherwise regular people who drink and dance and go to the beach in bathing suits. If such decadence doesn't disqualify doctors, nurses, social workers, therapists, or anyone else in the helping professions from doing their jobs, it shouldn't disqualify teachers from doing theirs. Having a beer in a bikini is not a mortal sin, and appearing in a photo imbibing is not evidence of poor judgment. It's evidence of having a life. I have a teacher friend who consistently ducks out of photos at weddings because she is terrified that a parent at her school will see her in a photo with a drink in her hand, a fireable offense where she works. The expectation that teachers be mindful of their social media presence is totally fair, but in a digital climate where it is impossible to account for every single camera in every single venue, it's unrealistic to believe that they, or anyone for that matter, will always meet such an expectation. My friend, for example, can duck out of as many photos as she wants, but her efforts at hiding often fail in a world where everyone has a camera. Of course, teachers should refrain from posting fiery political diatribes on Facebook or Twitter. Can Mr. Miller really be a responsible teacher if he retweets fake news stories about the Muslim scourge in Canada? Is totally a fair question. The answer to that, by the way, is no. But can Mr. Miller really be a responsible teacher if he appears on Facebook drinking vino, that's wine, with friends in his backyard? Is not a fair question. It's inane. I get it. Educators work with kids and thus must be held to a higher standard, virtue-wise, than, say, newspaper columnists or engineers. But honestly, are children's minds really so weak that they will shed their innocence and turn into beer-chugging, scantily clad heathens the moment they encounter photographic proof that their teachers partake in the same leisure activities as their parents? No. A word of advice to parents concerned about the extracurricular activities of your children's teachers. The average kid today watches internet porn before his 14th birthday. In other words, you have far more important things to worry about than the private lives and casual drinking habits of other adults.